We're back. What's up, y'all? I'm Jazz Ford. Welcome back to yet another banging episode of Heavy on Kingdom. If you're new here, we're talking God journeys, plus fruitful conversations, heavily wrapped in laughter, love, and light. Yo, it's been a minute, but it never gets old. This is something that God told us to do. We're going to keep rocking until the end. Again, if you're new here, welcome. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. My name is Jazz Ford. This is a faith-based podcast. Not here to give advice, but here to let you know that you are not alone. And today we're talking, if you read the title already, we're talking dependence, heavily. Dependence on God. That's the season that I'm in right now, depending on God when it doesn't seem like I could depend or trust him at all, no matter what things look like, no matter what things feel like. I'm in a season of transition right now, and depending on God has been the very thing that has led me closer to him in so many areas in my life. One thing that he has definitely been dealing with me heavily on is my finances. Another taboo topic. Yes, my finances. I've gotten away from paying my tithes regularly, and I was feeling convicted, but like pushing it and shoving it aside. But it kept coming back to me, that this is something that I need to be faithful in again. This is something that I need to be steadfast in again. I joined the Bible study recently because I've changed areas and just looking for that community. We've been diving into the book of Numbers. In the book of Numbers, it just speak on the stories of the Israelites on how during their transition from the land of Egypt to the promised land, they had to go through to depend heavily upon God. And they had to depend on him heavily for everything, for food, for direction, for guidance, for strength. At one point they were complaining about there not being any food, and then he sent manna from heaven, the bread that come from heaven that dissolved the next day or so. So dependence. And then when that came, they were dependent on him for fresh water. And he made water come out of a rock. They were dependent on him. They got tired of the manna and was complaining, and then God sent quail. So just heavy, heavy dependence, and that's what God has been really tagging up my heart about. And I'm realizing as I'm growing older and maturing, these stories that we've heard so many times in the Bible, in different seasons, they serve different purposes. And for this season that I'm in right now, a season of transition, he's been dealing with me on my finances, and it's something that I'm just like, God. But it's just, I had to trust him. I had to trust where he's leading me. I had to trust, even if it doesn't seem right to anyone else, even if I seem like I'm alone in this and that only God understands, or only God knows, because he's the one that's leading me. I had to stick to that. And it's not that no one else is there for, to depend on, but God is having me to depend on him. I used to faithfully pay my tithes because I believe in, I believe in paying tithes. I believe in paying the first fruits. And I know that some people might have their different feelings about paying tithes. And I'm not here to tell anyone like, hey, this is what you should or shouldn't do. I'm just telling you my story and how the conviction that has came from me when I was lax on paying my tithes regularly and not giving God the first. It was like I would make excuses and excuses after excuse. And then one excuse led to another, and another excuse led to another, and I'm still dealing with this. So it's like when I don't have as much, or I think paying my tithes is going to make me lack in another area, I'm like, God, like, my heart. I gave to this person, so I don't have to do this or do that or give in this way because I put this here. And it was just like, it was a thing of like, God just had to really sit with me and gently. That's what I love about God. He does it gently. He showed me my heart and showed me how I was just holding so tightly to money. I was holding so tightly to money out of fear that I wouldn't have enough, fear that it would run out, that I was my only means and my job was my only means, or this coming for this source here was my only means of receiving. And that's not the case, because everything that we get comes from God. And when we sow, what we sow, we reap. So if we sow a good harvest, we reap a good harvest. And I like to point to Bible stories. One Bible story regarding finances is one in Luke that I've been really reading up on. It's the story of the widow. Jesus was in the temple and he was watching everyone come in and bring gifts. Out of everyone that came in, the rich, he was watching the rich, and the rich, they brought in their money, they brought in their gifts, and they were, these big, large, massive gifts. But then here comes this poor widow, and she give all that she have. She give two small coins. And that was all that she had. And Jesus said that was the greatest because she gave everything. Like, she gave everything. And it's not even a thing. I don't want people to get confused about it being monetary, because it's not monetary. It's a heart posture. What else? She could have been thinking like, God, this is the only thing that I have. And that's how I was in that situation. Like I said, I read that story in Luke and I couldn't shake it. It kept coming to me. I kept thinking about this widow in the Bible, how she gave everything that she had, like everything, two small coins, right? And I remember just being like, God, like, I'm gonna give, like, I'm gonna give these tithes, like, I'm gonna give, the 10%. And that's all that he asks of us. It's the 10%. I'm gonna give this 10%, but God is really gonna cut here. Like, it's really gonna cut here. And he just really caused everything to happen during that time. Like, everything, every single thing. Like, I had so many, my bills seemed like they multiplied. I had so many other things that I had to cover during that time. But I tell you, I paid the tithes, paid the 10, all I paid was 10%, and a little over, just a little over as an offering. And how I was able to not only cover everything that I need to cover, but I still had some left over. But I was in the midst of tears beforehand, thinking like, God, if I give this right here, like, I'm not gonna have here. And he had to show me, like, Jasmine, like, I gave you this. I could supply, I could multiply this. Everything that you have belongs to me. Everything. Even down to this podcast. Like, I can't shake it. This is something that he told me to do. And if anybody know that if God has placed something on your heart, it's one of those things where you just feel uncomfortable because you're not doing what you're supposed to. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. Like, you don't know peace. And so I'm here in my bathroom telling this story, shooting this podcast, coming back after so many months because I'm still showing up and being obedient, no matter how it looks, no matter what it seems, doing what he told me to do, even though I can't see the end. It's a reason, it's an urgency. So dependent on God. Like this poor widow, she gave all that she had, and it was everything. So if you haven't read that story about the widow, it's just one story in the Bible, but if you haven't read that, go read it. It's so good. It will change your view of God. It will change how you depend on God. And I just encourage everyone to go read up on how much giving blesses you. I'm not just speaking on giving monetarily, but even giving those gifts that you know that you could give, giving your time, wherever those areas God leads. Not something that we could do in our own strength. It's something that we have to come to him about and say, God, like, I need your help trusting in you. I need your help trusting in you. I need help not worrying about this. God, help me to stop worrying about this. Help me to put this fully into your hands. And I've been guilty of that so many times. And still to this day, I struggle with that because it's certain situations or instances where I feel like I've given it all to God, but then something will happen where I realize like I haven't. I haven't given it all to God, and I have to go back and relay it down. And it's not a crime to have to go back and relay it down and give it over to God. If you think about it, if you have a child, right? I'm going to keep doing the child reference. I don't have children yet, but I have little people in my life and that I'm raising, and oh my gosh, God shows me so much through them. Shows me so much through them, and through his eyes, he just let me see how a good parent feels in certain situations, and it helps me to see his heart more for me, if that make any sense. How he cares what I care about, how a good father would. He cares what I care about. He's not just withholding things from me just because, just to be mean or just to be a tyrant. When he closes a door is a reason why he closes the door. And I just have to depend and trust that his plan is way better than what I ever thought or imagined. Like, if you have a parent, and if you're a parent yourself, and your child is like really down about something, like really like upset about something really upsets them, you're gonna be upset about that thing too, because you care about what they care about. And that's the same with God. He cares what we care about. And I had to he had to like, not I, but God had to transform my thinking in that way. Like, and I don't want to say it, but like a lot of us think that way, that we think that God, we just out here praying and God not hearing us. Yes, he hears everything. Everything that we pray, he hears and he cares about it. Just like a father would, just like a good parent would. I heard someone say this recently though on a podcast, that when you're younger, when you're a kid, you don't have a second thought about going into your refrigerator and knowing that there's food in there. Saturday mornings, what? Waking up, going to look at Saturday morning cartoons, eating cereal. You don't have a second thought of where that box of cereal came from, So it's just like the same with us. Just have to depend on him. Just have to trust. I just have to believe. Even when it doesn't seem like nothing has happened, nothing is moving, even when it seems like he's not going to show up, even at the very last minute, like the story of Martha, Mary, and Lazarus. I tell this story all the time because it's so good. It shows you God's heart. It shows you that even at the very last minute, even when it seems like there's no way out, even when it seems like it's over with and done with, like God shows up. And he not only shows up, but he shows up instantly. And what you was dealing with beforehand won't even matter because he's here. You get what I'm saying? Like, and the thing is that he's always here. So the story of Martha, Mary, and Lazarus. Martha and Mary were two sisters. They had a brother named Lazarus, and Lazarus was really sick, but all of them were good friends of Jesus. And Jesus is on his tour, healing the sick, doing so many miracles. They're witnessing him do these things, but then their brother gets sick and Jesus is in the next town a few miles away, but he didn't come right away. And Jesus, he did it purposely because he told his disciples when they heard the news that this will not end in death. Like, this will not end in death. Lazarus, is only sleeping. In Martha and Mary's eyes and everyone else that are in the town with them, in the town of Bethany, they're mourning because it looks to them that he's dead. He's been dead now. He was sick, real ill, and then died, and was sick now for 4 days. And in biblical times, this was a time after 4 days that you are beginning to rot. Like, you're stinking, everything. Like, there's no coming back today. It looks like it was the end. And basically, Jesus told the disciples plainly after that, because he was telling them, like, he's only asleep. And the disciples like, well, Jesus, if he's only asleep, then let's go wake him up. And Jesus is like, no, let me tell y'all plainly, like, he's really dead, but he's only, this is only happening so the glory of God could be revealed. That this is only happening so that God could get the glory. So a couple of days later, went down to Bethany. That's when he went down to Bethany, and the person that he's greeted by first is Martha. Mary stayed at home. She was being consoled with all the people that was there, helping her while she grieved and all these things like that. But Martha was the first to greet Jesus, and she's like, Jesus, if you were here, then Lazarus would have not died. Like, he would never died if you were here. I realized that in the book of John, God showed us how we could respond to disappointment. There's like, he gave us two different views. He gave us the view of Martha, and he gave us the view of Mary. Martha greeted Jesus first when he first came, and Martha's response was like, Jesus, like, if you would have came, like, this would never happen, basically. And then after that, she didn't leave it there though. John 11:19. It said, and many people had come to console Martha and Mary in their loss. When Martha got word that Jesus was coming, she went to meet him, but Mary stayed in the house. Martha said to Jesus, Lord, if only you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now, I know that God will give you whatever you ask. Jesus told her, your brother will rise again. Yes, Martha said, he will rise when everyone else rises at the last day. Jesus told her, I am the resurrection and the life. Anyone who believes in me will live even after dying. Everyone who lives in me and believes in me will never ever die. Do you believe this, Martha? Yes, Lord, she told him. I have always believed you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one who has come into the world from God. Then she returned to Mary. She called Mary aside from the mourners and told her, the teacher is here and wants to see you. So Mary immediately went to him. When Mary arrived and saw Jesus, she fell at his feet and said, Lord, if only you had been here, my brother would not have died. When Jesus saw her weeping and saw the other people wailing with her, deep anger welled up within him, and he was deeply troubled. He said, Where have you put him? He asked him. They told him, Lord, come and see. Then Jesus wept. The people were standing nearby, said, See how much he loved him? But some said, This man healed a blind man. Couldn't he have kept Lazarus from dying? So basically, after this, Jesus rolled away the stone and told Lazarus to get up. Like, come on, Lazarus, stop playing. Get up. No, he didn't say stop playing, but he basically told him, Get up. This is not ending in death. This was only for the glory of God to be revealed. This is after 4 days, been in a tomb where he's pronounced dead. Martha, Mary, and all the people like, Jesus, well, he's been in there 4 days. He's rotten now. He's rotted away. And Jesus like, get up. Like basically get up. And there's just so many stories in the Bible like this where it's like dependence on God, even when it seems like it's down to the very end, down to the very brim of things, that God could come through and make a way out of no way and could do it instantly. And that we could even see in this story how much he cared. He cared so much that he was even weeping with them, even though he knew the result and the outcome. They didn't know how to rely on him. Like they didn't know that he would cover them because he cares about them. Like he cares what they care about, like a good father would. They were his friends, so why wouldn't he care? That's the same with our situation. So it's like so many great stories that lead us to the heart of Jesus and just show us how we as believers should depend on him when we can't see our way, when we can't feel our way, and when every chance in the world is telling us like this is not going to happen, or it looks slim to none, or your situation is never going to change, or this is that. So I just want to encourage everyone out there who's listening to this podcast to not to give up, but to depend on God in every way. Depend on him in every area of your life. And depending on him, some days just look like, God, give me strength. Depending on him on other days is paying tithes. Asking him to help you have patience with your kids. Asking him to give you the strength, give you the knowledge, give you the wisdom on how to be a mother, how to be a father, how to show up on your job, giving you strategy, how to show up and be the person that he has proclaimed you to be. I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. This video was active dependence. My background doesn't look how I wanted it to look or anything like that, but God told me to show up and do something. So that's what I'm doing. I'm depending on him. Like I said, I'm not out here giving a rule book of this is what you should do, this is how you should do, but I'm just letting you know that you're not alone and that God really do want us to depend on him, and he cares about what we care about. That's why he wants us to depend on him, because he cares. Just like a father, just like a good parent, he cares about what we care about. He hears what we pray about, what we think about. Even if we don't think it, he knows the deepest secrets of our heart. Like he knows. So just giving that over to him. I know it's easier said than done, but I'm telling you that like in those times where we feel like there's no way out, that's when God wants us to depend on him the most. Do it afraid, do it scared. The thing I'm realizing too, the thing that you're supposed to do scares you the most. So do it anyway. If you didn't get anything else from this message, please depend on God. Later.